and I'm very happy. I'm back from Munich, and it was a really unique moment. We had so many Iranians calling for freedom in Munich, and also the conference was very good. The Shah, the son of the Shah himself, was there, and there were a lot of global politicians. And I think for Munich, there was a clear call for freedom going to the whole world, freedom for the Iranians, freedom for the Ukrainians, and for the victory of the West. And I was very honored. And while I was walking to the demonstration, I met a young Swedish man, Alexander, who has decided to travel on his own costs because of his own motivation to this central day of freedom for the Iranians in Munich on the 14th of February. And I invited Alexander now back to the podcast. He is here online from Sweden, back in Sweden. I welcome you and congratulate you, Alexander. I'm very happy that I met you. Great that you did this. And can you describe a little bit who you are and what's your motivation for the freedom of Iranians? Why did you go to Munich? And please start with a small introduction, and then it's time for you to explain us why you did it, and congratulations that you did it. Alexander, the floor is yours.
I am Alexander, and I went to the protest for Iran for two very simple reasons. One, the sacrifices of the tens of thousands of Iranians who heroically gave their lives to save their nation from the tyrannical oppression of the Ayatollahs and the Islamic Republic's brutality. And second, to be part of the greatest revolution for freedom in the world since the fall of the Berlin Wall. Look, the Iranian people are no longer going to lie down and suffer the oppression of the Republic. Survived for 47 years of brutal repression, oppression, and torture by this regime, which promised itself to save them from tyranny, but in reality only gave themselves an excuse to murder anyone who did not subscribe to their beliefs, to enforce the most evil regime the Middle East has seen since the Nazis invaded and tried to take control over the region. The Ayatollahs, they are fearful, they are scared, and the Iranian people know it. Last month, forgive me, I'm losing my grip on my phone.
No, just continue, don't worry. You are really a courageous man, and I'm very happy that you are on this podcast. Please continue. Yes?
The Ali Khamenei last month was actually planning on fleeing the country. He had a plan set up for if the protests failed. That where he and 20 other regime officials were going to get on a plane and flee to Moscow. If the protests were unable to be stopped. And when the protests, of course, that led to the moment when the Iranian people were murdered on a scale not seen on very, very few occasions have we seen murder on this scale of protesters. In these protests, more than 36,000 people were killed. 36,000 people. That is 750 people every single hour. And I actually went back in history. That is actually more than the largest massacre of Jews in the Holocaust during World War II. The Babi Yar massacre during Operation Barbarossa, when they killed 33,000 Ukrainian 2 days.
It's a
The
terrible
people
I
of this
have
massacre.
committed. Alexander, let me ask you, why are you so passionate? You're a young man in your 20s. Explain us a little bit who you are. And you are very passionate about the Iranians, which is a people far away from Sweden. Explain me, what's your motivation?
Well, because it's quite obvious where we are at. This is not just another day of protests. It's not just another day of BLM protests like what we're seeing in America. It's not just another Sunday of going out because they are motivated to do so by habit. No, this is a genuine moment in world history where not just the Middle East can change, but the entire world can change for the better. Should Iranian people be successful in overthrowing the regime, it will completely reshape the internal politics of the Middle East as we know it and the world at large. Because my phone, I need to adjust my grip. Sorry. My phone, sorry.
Put it on some books, I told you, please, because it takes 45 minutes, this discussion, otherwise you will break down. And it's also more stable in the camera if you put it on some books or something. Don't worry, you can do that. If you,
yes.
I mean, you're a young man, maybe you don't have a lot of books around because you always watch YouTube at the computer, but some books from your studies, it's the better way to keep it stable.
Okay. Wait. Hold on. Sorry. I know I should be talking a lot more right now. Sorry.
Don't worry. I'm really very grateful to take time. And I was so happy to meet you. It was such a rainy day in Munich on the 14th, but there were 250,000 people. And it was not just the Iranians. I want to show also word of opinion that it's a lot of Europeans who were there together with, of course, many Iranians. But people like you and people like me, we went there in order to show our solidarity with the Iranians. And also the public opinion at the moment is with the Iranians against this terror regime. And that's my question. What's the opinion now from the people of Sweden, from your generation? Will you support regime change for Iran?
I personally am 100% for regime.
100% for regime change. Very good.
In the Middle East, yes, the military action in the Middle East for regime change is vital in these moments, either by Israel or the United States, because the Iranian people are lions, cannot fight the Ayatollahs without weapons. And right now, they are calling on the Western world to attack. They are literally begging the United States and Israel to strike the regime as quickly as possible. And I am very confident that they will. But if they do not, it will be a betrayal of every single person who shed the blood for their nation. And it would honestly be the most wasted. It would be the most wasted policy of all time. It would be a betrayal of their own respective countries of Israel and the United States. It would be a betrayal of all those who have given their lives. And really, I also would say that it would be much like attempting to reason with Hitler before he attacked Poland. It is really that we're really at that moment in history.
Are you confident
what the rest of
Americans and Israelis will strike?
What did you say?
Are you confident the Americans and Israelis will start to militarily attack Iran and do regime change?
Yes, I am confident that that will happen. The Ayatollahs have wait.
We have a small interruption, I guess. Alexander's mom is calling him. Of course, still a young man with 22, but so motivated to go to Munich to protest for regime change. I really love that spirit. It's the Swedish spirit of the Vikings. They're the guys who change the world. And that's what I like very much. Alexander, I'm a big fan of you.
Thank you. Those were my parents who just came home. I'm still looking for a house.
Very good. I wish you luck. It's one of our podcast aims, young people to marry, to get children and have their own property. This is the good life. And this is what I very much recommend. Yes. I know it's not easy. It's expensive. Are you in Stockholm?
Yes, I am in Stockholm.
No, that's not easy there.
Yeah. And I am still... Yeah, the market is it's really strange right now. I've had offers before, but it was retracted. And but in any case, as to your question, I am confident that the United States and Israel will attack, because regardless of these talks that are happening, they are sending in perhaps one of the largest military mobilizations in the Middle East in quite possibly all of US history. They are sending in 2 air carriers, at least one, but there are signs that they are preparing to send in a second one. They are sending in hundreds and hundreds of aircraft. They are preparing the Diego Garcia Air Base for a potential operation. They are all flying in infantry troops, increase the total amount of military soldiers 50,000 rather than 20 US soldiers. And moreover, the most important thing is the talks are meant to provide time for all of this to occur without the regime launching a preemptive strike on Israel or the United States bases in the region. That would be a very great risk to the plan that is being put in place. And I do not know the plan, but I do know that it is being put in place. And to do so, they need to not risk war with the Iran before they can attack. And that's basically what these talks are. But in the end, the talks are really about time. And the regime knows this. That's why they agreed to make them. The regime knows that an attack is inevitable, but they also know that they need to prepare for any defense to that attack. So they are making these talks possible, attending them. But the terms that Trump has set, intentionally set, so they simply, first of all, zero nuclear enrichment. They are not going to agree to that. Zero nuclear enrichment for all eternity is something they will never agree to. But then there is other things, such as an end to proxy support. That is even more impossible, because that is more or less all of the Iranian military influence in the Middle East. And if they were to cut funding to that, then they would effectively lose half of their military forces. And third, limiting ballistic missiles, that is the most impossible. That is the most impossible term for them. They are not going to agree to that one. In fact, I am very confident that they are willing to go to war over that one, because limiting ballistic missiles means that they would forever be unable to attack Israel. And that is the whole purpose of the Islamic Republic. Okay, that is their stated goal, and that is their pursuit. That is what they have pursued in the last 47 years. And quite honestly, if they were to agree to it, I think there would actually be a civil war within the Islamic Republic's highest positions itself, because it's simply far too. These are not terms that are meant to be agreed to, and Trump knows it. He placed those terms to make sure the regime wouldn't agree to a deal officially, and that gives him time to extend these talks to prepare for a military to prepare for the military
Alexander,
operations coming
is
up.
there more people in
Of
Sweden?
course, if it somehow is.
Let me ask you a question, Alexander. Alexander, how is the young people in Sweden feeling about this?
Yeah.
Is there some broad-based sympathy for the Iranians? Are there demonstrations in Sweden, in Stockholm? And do you attend the demonstrations for the Iranians in Stockholm? How is the situation?
There are Iranians who have immigrated to Sweden, and we hold protests in every single one of the big cities: Malmö, Stockholm, Göteborg. But I would say that there has been a lot of indifference from the rest of the Swedish population. However, the right wing has been very active when it comes to talking about it. For example, Charlie Weimar made the whole actively called on the European Parliament to invite Reza Pahlavi and recognize him as the official leader of the Iranian opposition. There is also
a member of the European Parliament from the Christian Democrats.
No, he is a member of Parliament from the Sweden Democrats, and that is the most. Yes, and then there is also Jimmy Åkesson. He made a very loud statement stating his support for the Iranian people's fight for freedom and such. However, rest the Swedish population, I feel, could be a lot more supportive. However, there is quite a lot of support already. I am seeing thousands of people gathering at Norra Bantorget in Stockholm every single Saturday, and we march together before the statue of towards the statue of one of our kings, and we do this every single Saturday, and really, I say that it's mainly from those who are Iranians themselves. However, I myself am very active with the Iranian and people's fight for freedom, because I have been following it for a while, and I believe that it is a cause that needs to be fought for, not just something I am passionate about. I believe that it is something that must be done, must be successful.
Alexander, you're totally right to do that. I congratulate you that you are doing it, and I also admire your courage to go to Munich to participate in this protest. That was a good decision. I'm very congratulative for that. Let me ask you as well, because Sweden is changing a lot these days. And also Sweden is supporting Ukraine a lot. This is also amazing. When we met in Munich, we talked about it, that Sweden is supporting with 7 billion euros worth of weapons. You are supporting Ukraine in the last 4 years, and that's really marvelous. I congratulate you as well for this major effort, and you are really a fantastic country.
We stand with our European allies, such as the dictatorship of Putin in Russia. And for that, we do everything we can, such as we have provided some refuge to Ukrainian refugees ever since the war started. And we have also provided military aid, such as the one you just mentioned. I believe that
I like Sweden because I come from Austria, and I'm so critical to my own country because we were neutral. And Austria and Sweden, we joined together the European Union in '95. I was campaigning for that back then, and it was a promise, when we have the opportunity, we'll join NATO together. But unfortunately, Austria was chickening out, and Sweden was right to join NATO. Do you support Sweden's membership in NATO? Do you think it was the right decision?
I believe it was the right decision. If we had rejected it, Finland had already accepted it, we would have been the only country in Northern Europe who would not have been a part of NATO, and that's not really a good idea. Yeah. But being means that we have the allies of the entire European continent around us. And I wholeheartedly support the Austrian and people joining NATO. It is an incredibly important time for Europe to stay united.
I like you very much, Alexander. I hope Iran thinking like you.
Yes, thank you. The Austrian people, their mission into NATO would be a very great boon to the rest of NATO and to the rest of Europe. And I am quite honestly very, very, very supportive of that movement. It would be a very great boon to Europe and the world at large. As for Iran, there is also one thing I would like to say. There has been reports of a lot of people feeling hopeless as a result of the delay between military action since the protests. In fact, there was a man in Iran who was actually well known for, he went on YouTube, he was a YouTuber, and he made a video calling on the Trump administration who at any cost avoid making a deal with the Islamic regime. And after he made that video, he committed suicide.
That's terrible.
It was truly heartbreaking.
I saw the video. It was terrible. I feel so sorry for this. And it's always in public, when I'm in public,
and that is,
I make a statement, there's always a way out. It's much better to fight than to commit suicide. And there is definitely always a way to improve things. And you see a lot of heroic Iranians in the streets in all parts of Iran who are fighting, because committing suicide solves no problem in no situation ever. And it's absolutely much better to die fighting than to commit suicide.
Absolutely. The Iranian people have suffered through hell these past few weeks. I cannot even begin to describe just how much they have suffered. There are women, those who have been arrested during the protests. Most men were killed instantly, but women, especially women, have been arrested, and during their capture, they have been raped because they, according to the Islamic Republic's policy, a virgin can enter heaven. So in order to make sure that protesters don't enter heaven, they rape the women before they execute them. It is we are literally seeing this is the modern Nazis. This is the Third Reich in the Middle East, and their downfall cannot come soon enough. And truly, I am devastated at the fact that the left to this day actually seems to be taking the side of the Islamic regime in this, seems to be supporting their cause. I've seen people state no war with Iran. There is no peace with Iran as long as the Islamic Republic exists. Their entire stated motivation ever since their creation has been the destruction of Israel and then the destruction of the West. There is no peace as long as the mullahs are in charge. There will not be peace as long as the mullahs are in charge. And really, the suggestion that we shouldn't have war simply because people will die is redundant, because people are already dying. Thousands of people are already dying, tens of thousands. And if we don't strike soon, then hundreds of thousands will die anyway. And we must, and really, I must say, I am truly angered every time I see people trying to play this entire demonstration as if it was just an Israeli operative, a Mossad, a stage Mossad and thing. That is truly disgusting. It is trivializing the deaths of tens of thousands of people.
Alexander, tell me about the situation with the left in Sweden, because the Austrian and German left, they are very much against Reza Pahlavi because they hate the monarchy. But Sweden is a monarchy and a democracy as well. Do you think it's compatible? And what's your take on the Europeans' left hate against Reza Pahlavi?
As for about constitutional monarchy, I would say that it is absolutely applicable. In fact, I would say that it is one of the best systems of democracy you could ever implement. Constitutional monarchy is different from absolute monarchy in that constitutional monarchs represent a ceremonial role. They do not represent any political power whatsoever. They do not have power to make laws. They do not have power to who control armies. That is in the position of the government, such as, for example, the prime minister. And constitutional monarchs are actually very good to say, because the difference between a president and or a prime minister and a monarch is a prime minister will sit in their office for a term. They will sit there temporarily. So if they make a mistake, they don't care much about that, because simply be the process.
So it's absolutely possible for to be the king of Iran again, and we should not object to that if that's the wish of the Iranian people.
Yes, absolutely. The constitutional monarchs are there for life. They sit in term for their entire life. And sorry, low battery. And the rule of the monarch represents something very important, because it means that the prime minister always has someone they can go to for advice, for leadership. And it can also act as a safeguard for power-hungry maniacs, such as what happened in, in Italy during the fascist reign of Benito Mussolini. Many people forget that Italy at the time was a monarchy, a constitutional monarchy, and the constitutional monarch out of Benito Mussolini's own policies, such as allying with Hitler and such. And the eventually, the government even kicked out Benito Mussolini and joined the Allies because of this. And a constitutional monarchy is absolutely something that Iranians must choose for themselves. If they want a presidency or a monarchy, that is, of course, their choice. But I would absolutely, if I were Iranian, I would absolutely support a constitutional monarchy. As for the left's attitude towards Reza Pahlavi in my country, I would say that it is more of the same. They do everything they can to, while not outright rejecting him, try to play him down as if he's some kind of dictator trying to take control. In reality, he is a man who wants a country. And the left sees this because they don't want to go against their pro-Palestinian voters, which are against apparently the power to prevent a revolution in Iran, to exude an air of resistance to the inevitable success of the Iranians' Lion Sun revolution. As
Let me ask you one other question.
sees this,
are you also supporting the Palestinians?
Yes.
What's your situation? Because the left in Europe is very active the last 2 years for the Palestinians and against Israel. How is the situation there? What's your view on that one?
I am very neutral when it comes to East Palestine, because it is a very fraught history with many wrongs on both sides. However, though I leaned more pro beginning, I now lean more towards pro-Israel, because the pro-Palestinian movement has become hijacked entirely by Islamist jihadists who openly preach hatred for Western Europe and all of the West. They openly preach fraud and the outright for example, a few months back in the UK, where they were actively chanting that they were going to rape Jewish women. And I simply, it is very, very ridiculous. It is truly insane that this is being chanted in European streets, and as if it's some kind of revolutionary to who do these things, chant openly for jihad and murder and death of Jews in 2025. It is truly, and now they do the same thing for Iranians. They openly declare their support for Ali Khamenei, even as it is being reported that he is murdering thousands of men, women, and children daily.
It's very shocking and very bad.
It's truly ridiculous,
has
and
lost
it shows
legitimacy.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
The European left has lost all its legitimacy because they are not supporting the Iranians and they are supporting the Palestinians.
Yes, I think in fact, I think they lost their legitimacy a long time ago when they decided to support the Islamic Revolution by bringing Ali, by bringing who Iran in the first place on a French airline, no less.
No.
It is truly tragic to see the
Alexander, let me
the
ask you one other.
Iranian people.
You are absolutely courageous to support the Iranians. That is a good decision because you're from Sweden. I have one thing, which is in this series of interviews with young people from Europe. I'm asking all of them because one thing Sweden has not done up to now, it has not joined the Eurozone. And I wanted to ask you if you don't see the case for Sweden joining the Eurozone so that we are all much more united together, stronger against Putin and against our enemies. What you see in that respect?
When it comes to currency, I am very much for unity against Putin and his radical expansionism. However, I am cautious very much of the European Union and this federalization. I am for the European Union. I love the European Union. And I believe that the European Union must exist to unite the European people. However, when it comes to several parts of the European Union, there are things that require reform. So, for example, the immigration issue. The immigration has been a very dangerous thing for across entirely, in my opinion, of course, and thus I am very cautious of the European expanding the euro to Sweden. However, the European Union were to be able to get control of immigration and enforcing our borders properly, then I would absolutely trust the European Union to expand the Eurozone into Sweden, and I would absolutely support joining the Eurozone.
Alexander, you are really very courageous man, and the Swedish are in general, and you have changed from neutrality towards NATO, and this is what I love very much. Your nation is supporting Ukraine like amazingly with a lot of weapons and fighter jets and 7 billion euros, and you are really a wonderful country up there in the north. I want to thank you as well for your presence here in this podcast. Unfortunately, Alexander dropped out now. Maybe he will rejoin, but I want to thank you. This is part of my series of interviews with representatives and young people from all over Europe. If they support Ukraine and if they support the Iranians and freedom struggle and they call for more unity, and you see that here in Sweden, young people are really taking these initiatives, some of them fighting in Ukraine, some of them going to the demonstrations for the Iranians. That's really wonderful. And I want to thank Alexander for joining this podcast. Thanks a lot for being part of it. Unfortunately, he has already dropped out now, but I appreciate very much your presence. And everybody here is following me on live stream. I will be at 8 o'clock. Oh, Alexander is back.
Forgive me. The internet is really bad here. It disconnected.
No. Now at the end of the podcast, you have much better video quality. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, but it's very good. Now, if you want to say some closing remarks, but basically we have discussed Iran freedom, Ukraine freedom, the euro, and of course NATO membership. If you want to make some closing statements for the young people of Europe to support Iranian freedom, you're very welcome, Alexander. And please, the floor is yours.
The Iranian people right now are at a cross point where they die in order to change the regime, because regardless of what happens, they will die. If the regime change does not happen, they will all be slaughtered by the Islamic, and they will continue to be slaughtered by starvation as well, because the economy has been damaged that it is simply impossible to survive with the regime in power anymore. And war with with Iran would not be a war. It would, the regime currently is. And the Iranian people would fight with the Americans. The Americans do not need, because the Iranians are the boots on the ground. As the attacks start, waves of Iranians will flood the streets and flood every single IRGC base that has not been hit, and they will take single leader of the regime. It is only a matter of time. But what needs to happen before that is strikes against the IRGC with Ayatollah Khomeini's entourage. They need to eliminate and signal to the Iranian people that freedom has a the Iran control of the government and take back their country, the democracy that they deserve. Thank you.
Now you heard it here first from Alexander, and for me, it's time for regime change for Iran. Alexander, you're a courageous man. You went to all these demonstrations and also to Munich, to the central demonstration for freedom of the Iranians. I want to thank you for your initiative, for your leadership. I made a very nice interview on my TikTok live with you on Saturday, and now here on my podcast. Thanks a lot to be ready to discuss these important issues, quite representatives for the young people of Europe who stand for regime change. Freedom is universal, it's indivisible. As well, the Iranians have deserved freedom, and it will come now with the American-Israeli intervention, and the European public opinion and world opinion is with the Iranian intervention, the Iranian people's freedom. And I want to thank you, Alexander. Also be in touch together. I hope that I can convince you from the Eurozone entry of Sweden in the future, and that we reduce migration. And I wish you also success in your future political endeavors to support the freedom agenda of the world. And thank you very much. And please follow Alexander on X. He is also very active. I see that. And now I want to thank you very much and wish you a nice evening. Thanks for coming to the Günther Fehlinger podcast show. All the best.
All the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much.